Scientifically speaking, when we know everything on the earth can be traced back to the known chemical elements, we also know that all the elements are a combination of the hydrogen atom. And in fact, at this point in the scientific discovery, all the material world can be traced back to the 36 quarks, the subparticles that actually comprises the particle itself. To maintain evolution of a species in our planet to have taken place without original information and potentialities is as wrong as to say the eye, ear, or any other part of our body does not have a genetical information. Abdu'l-Baha explains, quote, "For everything there is a point which it cannot overpass. That is to say, he who is in the condition of servitude, however far may progress in gaining limitless perfection, will never reach the condition of deity. It is the same with the other beings. A mineral, however far it may progress in the mineral kingdom, cannot gain the vegetable power. Also in the flower, however far it may progress in the vegetable kingdom, no power of the senses will appear. So, the silver mineral cannot gain hearing or sight. It can only improve in its own condition and become a perfect mineral, but it cannot acquire the power of the growth or the power of sensation, or attain to life. It can only progress in its own condition." Page 230 of Some Answered Questions. He further explains, quote, "Know that nothing which exists remains in a state of repose. That is to say, all things are in motion. Everything is either growing or declining. All things are either coming from non-existence into the being or going from existence into non-existence. So, this flower, this hyacinth, during a certain period of time was coming from the world of non-existence into being, and now it is going from being into non-existence. This state of the motion is said to be essential, that is natural, that cannot be separated from being, because it is their essential requirement, as it is the essential requirement of fire to burn." Page 233 of the book Some Answered Questions. Now back to my writing. The fossil record holds true of the fact that a species have not evolved into other species. However, they exhibit a trend of affinitive sequential similarities. This is because of the order of appearance, which starts from simplicity to complexity. The fact that anatomy of donkey, horses, and zebras are similar to each other has not made one of them to become the other one. The fact that the atom of helium has been formed and evolved by becoming the hydrogen atom has not been the reason of the disappearance of the hydrogen atom. This is a mathematical fact that the universe is arranged in alphabetical order. The digit 1 does not vanish to create number 2. Combinations of atoms to form molecules and molecules to a cell and combination of cells to form higher organic life does not signify that the original element cannot exist any longer. A Baha'i theory of evolution, while accepting and supporting the holy books such as Bible, Quran, Bhagavad Gita, etc., at the same time rejects creationism as the true interpretations of this book. The sudden appearance of a species proposed by modern clergies as one of the principles of the creationism does not have any trace in the holy books. Gradualism in the Baha'i doctrine is not only the order of the evolution and appearance, but also the order of the disappearance and devolution. Abdu'l-Baha says, quote, "The whole physical creation is perishable. These material bodies are composed of atoms. When these atoms begin to separate, decomposition sets in. Then comes what we call death. This composition of atoms which constitute the body or mortal elements of any created being is temporary. This is in page 9 of his book called Paris Talk. End of quotations, my word. According to the law of composition and decomposition of the material universe, one can speculate. One way to look at the reasons surrounding the disappearance of dinosaurs may not be anything but simply the death of the whole species. I think, just as a single organic life dies, so does the whole species, family, cohort, class, and even a whole phyla. The life of any organism is directly related to an environment which it lives in it. And the course of time, changes to the environment cannot be tolerated or adapted by the organism, hence causing them to vanish. This constitutes one other important element of the evolution process. The principles of the limitations and determinations. Process of evolution in life of any organism has certain fluctuation that can oscillate progressively or retrogressively, beyond which limit it becomes extinct. This is a natural occurrence in the organic and inorganic strata. For example, we have natural isotope of many elements. This fluctuation is directly related to environment. Natural environment is like the mother of the organism that feeds them. Explaining the natural limit, Abdu'l-Baha explains, quote, "For every being there is a point which it cannot overpass. A mineral, however far it may progress in the mineral kingdom, cannot gain the vegetable power. Silver mineral cannot gain hearing or sight. Peter cannot become Christ." This is in the page 230 of Some Answered Questions. He further explains in the same book, quote, "Let us suppose that there was a time when man walked on his hands and feet, or had a tail. This change and alteration is like that of the fetus in the womb of the mother. Although it changes in all ways and grows and develops until it reaches the perfect form, from the beginning it is a special species. We also see in the vegetable kingdom that the original species of the genus do not change and alter, but the form, color, and bulk will change and alter, or even progress." Page 193 of the Some Answered Questions. Back to my writing. Therefore, according to the Baha'i concept, one may suggest a parallel evolution of a species. This means every species have evolved on its own line without crossing over to any other species. At the present time, as we explained in the previous chapter, such claims of evolutionists have been vehemently challenged by anti-evolutionary classes of scientists as well as the creationists. Development of an organism is determined by the biological information and genome of any organism. Any deviation from this plan, caused naturally or artificially, can bring mutations of gene which creates a variation in some species beyond which has been damaging to the species. In the same way, universe contains information that determines evolution and chemical elements, beta decay causing weak interaction of subatomic particles, like the neutron breaks down into proton, electron, and a neutrino. The breakdown of neutrino in the electron, proton, and neutrino has been responsible for one element to change into another. Through the beta decay, I think it was Rutherford that he found that actually when beta decay happens, so a neutron breaks down into proton, electron, and neutrino. Therefore, if we have new number of we add to the number of electron and proton, the atom will change it to another things. That is how one element can become a different element. Okay. proton and neutrino has been responsible for one element to change into another. If we can compare gene with particles, the gene with the particles, we can see they are both determining factors, the former in organic life and the latter in the chemical elements. At the present time of evolution, in our planet, one can say, evolution of man and other species had been determined in the very beginning of the solar system, given the circumstances to be the same. In other words, if there is a sun and earth with given distance between them and the elements that comprises on the earth, the life on earth is inevitable. This is the primordial soup. Nothing else is necessary. And this brings us to the principle of the natural possibility and mechanism of the evolution. So we're going back to a new principle. The principle of the natural possibility, as I explained before, is different from the natural selection. In the beginning of our discussion series, we discovered the origin of matter and explained the metaphysical necessity that had to go along with the original matter for time and motion to begin. We also brought to attention the Abdu'l-Baha's quotations on the subject. I like to repeat it again, since it is one of the prime directives of the universe. Very important. Quote, "The spiritual world is likened to the phenomenal world. They are the exact counterpart of each other. Whatever object appears in this world of existence are the outer picture of the world of heaven." Page 10 of the Promulgations of the Universal Peace. This is in the page 10. This means, as I explained before, when we look at any object of a cup, I always like the example of a cup. A cup, a glass cup, is not in the nature. What made it to be a cup? Originally it was sand, and at 10,000 degrees, with the planning and design in the head of somebody, a maker, he designed the process and thought about it, formulated everything, and created the cup. Cup is not in nature. So the cup has a design and a shape that, like, it seems almost like a mold. Matter falls into it to get shape. So in the other level of existence, we should be able to see the cup, not the physical one, but the actual, the idea behind the cup. So back to my word now, explain again. Therefore, behind any material object there is a metaphysical subject. For instance, we can say behind an automobile is a design created by the car maker. Physical automobile is an exact translation of its metaphysical design, which originated in the mind of the car maker. This is an everyday experience of any one of us. Whenever we want to do something first, we plan for it. Nature works the same way. It is absolutely impossible to say the artificial creation of car, which takes design and planning at the first step and the raw material as the next step, is different from the creation of an animal or a plant. To believe natural organisms do not need to have a plan or design behind them is equal to deny that there is no design or structure to be found in the natural beings. In the example of a car, the full design of the car, which is metaphysical, has to be transformed on paper in the form of file, and then at the end, with the physical work begins.